Marianne, how are you?
Good.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Thanks for your time today. Been excited about this. I wanted to get to know you a lot better, even though know each other now. How long? 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, at least, right? Yeah.
When did we take over Massapequa? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah, probably going on 3 years ago. And I've been with Keller since 2019 now. So
2019. Where
Yeah.
were you? Where'd you start in real estate? Did you start with Keller or?
I started at a local mom and pop shop.
Oh, that's right, Banana.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. And
So you
and
were
then
Greg.
I made my way. Yeah. Yeah. That's how I got to know the name actually.
Interesting.
Yeah. Greg was leaving as I was coming in. So yeah.
Greg was leaving when you came in.
Greg was leaving the company, and at the time, we would do farming, and I took over Greg's farm because he was leaving, and I was the newbie. And so they said, all right, start with these blocks. And it just happened to be a block that I lived on because I lived in the same community that
That's so
office was
funny.
in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were in
So-
Massapequa at the time, or?
Yes, yes, Massapequa girl.
That's funny. So let's start from the beginning. Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up here on Long Island. I'm from Massapequa. I was raised there my whole life, and now I raise a family in Massapequa as well. So I'm not far from where I grew up. I bought one home a couple blocks away from mom and dad, and now I'm a couple blocks further in a different direction.
Did you sell it or did you keep the house?
No, he sold it.
You did
He
sell
sold it. I feel like at the time we bought it right at like the end of a buyer's market, so we got in at a good price. And within a few years, and me being in the business, I remember telling my husband, "Wow, we could probably sell our home for X amount of dollars." And he's like, "If we could do that, then we'll go buy the bigger house down the block."
That's great.
And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "I'll show you the math right now." And so he pulled up his spreadsheet and he did the numbers. I'm like, I'm pretty confident that we could get that number because I had been going around and showing other homes that were not as updated, and that's what we did. We sold that house and we used a down payment and we bought the bigger house down the block.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you grew up in Massapequa. Where'd you go to school?
So I grew up in Massapequa. I went to Plain Edge.
Okay.
And then after, high school, I stayed on Long Island, and
Did you do any sports?
I did. I played tennis. I played softball. Not in high school. Tennis was my sport in high school.
Okay.
But I love to be.
Did they have a good tennis team? Or?
Yeah, decent tennis team.
Okay.
Yeah, they were decent. I just did it to be. I always like to be involved. So I knew I wasn't going down the softball route. So I said, let me play something that I could.
Did you play
sink my
tennis when
teeth
you were
in.
little? Or
No,
just got into it.
I started in high school and
It's a
stayed.
hard sport to pick up like that.
Yeah, I loved
pretty
it
cool.
though. It was so good. Today, I love to play pickleball.
Is
It's
that right?
very similar.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well,
it is.
similar-ish. But you could pick up like those same like tennis skills. But yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
I played doubles. I was first doubles by the time I graduated
wow.
high school. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you go there, you graduate, and then.
And then I
Hofstra?
also I stayed locally and I went to Hofstra University and I got a degree in marketing there.
Personal question:
Yeah.
Did you room there, or did you?
No, I commuted.
You did commute.
I did the commute thing.
Okay,
Yep.
that's good.
Yeah.
What'd you study?
I went in thinking I was going to go into communications, like radio or TV.
Sure.
But then I
I'm
decided
gonna piss
that
Julia off right now. Erica,
yeah.
that's what she was looking to go to.
Oh, really?
She gets mad when they get
I
mad
mean,
at me when I
this
mention
kind
other
of
names.
vibe is actually what I thought I would be doing. But it just, I don't know. I think it was the type of coursework it wasn't really things that I were interested in.
I guess communication leads into marketing, though, eventually, right?
It could, yeah. They all go hand in hand,
Everything does, yeah.
honestly. But I just felt like I was very creative.
Did you
I
want to be a
loved art.
sportscaster or something like that? Nothing
no.
like that?
I would more want to work in like the news industry.
Okay.
That I was like for ABC Networks. I want to like do a show like Regis and Kathy Lee at the time was
That's
like
pretty cool, though.
that's how I just I don't know, it just had it in me. But
You have the look for that.
you
I
think?
can see that, yeah.
But then I realized that I really liked the advertising part of it. So when I was at Hofstra, I
interesting.
joined advertising club, and in advertising club we got to got to actually go into Manhattan and visit like all the big McCann Erickson and Deutsche and all those big names at the time. But then I realized I didn't like that because I didn't like the work-life balance. People were there like really
All day,
late,
yeah.
all hours of the morning, and I knew in my future, my true goal was to get married, have a family, kids, and I didn't think that was going to really fit that goal. So I decided to go into business, but I still like the advertising part of it. So marketing was like the natural path. And so I got my degree in marketing and a fine arts and minor because I just was always artistic and loved it. So
Okay.
that was just a passion.
My wife was in the marketing world. She still is. She's in direct mail.
Okay, yeah.
And she worked with Simon & Schuster,
Yep.
Daily Race Inform. So her father was the CEO, CFO or COO of Prime Media.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of them. They were like 17 Magazine. They were Daily Race Inform.
Yeah.
All the big publications came through them.
It's funny because I think back when I was at Hofstra, how different it must be now to be in the marketing world as a student, where it has to be all about social media right now. And when I started, I will never forget, I had a classmate that ended up, being with me through the 4 years that I was getting my degree. And he said, hey, do you want to be my friend on Facebook? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, Facebook, it's this new like platform, and it's only open to college students. And Hofstra just became one of them, where as long as you have a, Hofstra email address, you can sign up.
What was it before Facebook?
Was it MySpace or something?
Was it MySpace?
That I wasn't involved in. I literally joined Facebook when my classmate said, can I be your friend on Facebook?
That's so crazy.
And literally at that time, you had to have a college email
I remember
address.
that, yeah. Because that took over it was a college one for MySpace or whatever it was.
So it was like, Hofstra was one of these colleges that you got to be a part of Facebook, so that's how I got to joining Facebook. Wow. But now I'm thinking, if you go to college now and go for a marketing path, the whole system, the whole, course load is probably social media because that's where your ads are right now.
But think about how lucky we were to grow up in the era we did.
Without that.
Without it, but the opportunity that we had to get into it.
Yeah, I know.
Just think about that, right?
Yeah.
So we was, I think about this almost every day, how freaking lucky we were. I remember being a cop, and my partner, Richie Romano at the time, was Everybody Loves Raymond's brother.
Oh,
was sitting there and he was talking about this company called Yahoo. And I think Yahoo at the time was maybe $2-3 a share. And we were all trying to be these big stockbrokers at the time. And he was like, nope, we got to buy gold. So I remember sinking a bunch of money into gold with him. And Yahoo went from $3 to $300 in a matter of whatever. So the money that was made just during our era with everything that came out. And you don't see, at least I don't think you do, what, like the kids today, I don't think they have the opportunity that we had growing up. It's weird.
I think there'll be different things like AI and kind of digging into that. I think that's like the next like
has
level.
To be, right?
That's how I see it. So like learning about it and just embracing it, I think is going to be important for the younger kids now that are getting into it. That's how I see it.
But the AI, I think it's the same group still that's really doing that, investing and really getting into it because we know a little. I'm not saying we know more than them because I think today's youth is amazing.
Yeah.
I think they're really bright, especially when it comes to social media. And you want to get honest answers, you go to them, and they don't sugarcoat anything. They tell you what it is, and it is what it is. I think the opportunity, you're right, is AI. I was talking to somebody the other day, what you just said. I was telling them exactly what we were talking about, and they said exactly the same thing. Well, AI is the next internet.
Yeah, for sure.
And they were explaining to me, because we were at a Giant game a couple of years ago, and we were talking about chat.
Yep.
And this is when they were still looking for people to join their network. And I was at the game, and somebody asked me if I wanted to get on the network, you would be. on it for free for life, I think it was. And then they offered you also a chance to buy into the company,
Into ChatGPT.
into ChatGPT.
Wow.
At least the guy I was with was giving me this option. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, just give me a day. Let me talk to my guy, give me a day, and I'll give you an answer tomorrow. Most likely I'm going to do it. What the hell? It's not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Not even before the game ended, I was over. I couldn't get into it.
Really?
And they had so many people jumped onto it.
Oh, wow. Well, it's become almost like an adjective now. Like, let me chat GPT it.
So
Like,
yeah,
let
it's
me
crazy.
Google it. It's like
became the next Google.
Yeah, and I remember my husband told me about it because he was starting to hear about it at work,
Yep.
and that's where I really learned about it. And I'm like, I don't know. And then now I use it almost daily, right?
It's great,
I mean, multiple times a day, just for different reasons. You know, even if you want to clean up an email and make it sound more professional,
That's what you have to do.
it's just it gets you. That's almost what's scary is that it knows who you are and it knows your voice. So when it helps you write an email or a response or whatever it may be, an Instagram post, it really picks up your personality.
It's so
It's
amazing.
so scary.
I was in a couple of, let's say a year and a half ago, I was in Harvey McKay's round table. I was fortunate enough to get into that. And they had one of the number one people in AI speak. And I don't really want to get into it too much, but it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like what it could do.
I know.
And it was really, really scary. Like
It is a
the
little
stuff that she
scary.
was talking about.
Right.
And what could happen, and not that it will, but you know, all of this crazy stuff, and it's still in its infant stages right now to this day.
Yes.
And-
That's why it's going to be the next big thing. You
gonna
know,
be
we'll be
amazing.
talking in 10 years about how do we live without it.
That's right.
Right.
And then what comes next?
Right. It's unimagimaginable. I don't know.
And it's growing so fast that it's just scary. Like it's what today, let's say a year ago today, you would have never thought in a million years this would be possible.
No.
And look at what it's done. And it just gets smarter and smarter and
Yeah,
smarter.
I remember
and smarter,
hearing
obviously.
about it and saying, "Nah, I don't think I'll be using that." And
Yeah, that's what I said.
now it's daily.
You have to use it.
You
now.
have to use it.
If you don't, you.
But I think in real estate, you know, they were saying like how certain jobs may be lost because of it. But I think in real estate, you know, pulling it back to this forum, I think you still need that personal touch. It's not going to take us over. There's not going to be a
There's no way.
robot
Yeah,
that is going to become your realtor.
Yeah, I don't believe that
No.
either. I was. That's another thing we were talking about. And that's what scares people about it, and that's not what scares me.
No.
I think it's going to create more jobs.
Okay.
So I think you still have the same stuff. It's just you'll be. I think what's going to happen is it evens the playing field for. I guess I don't want to say uneducated because you have to be educated to use it, but somebody that's not book smart can now come off as
Yeah.
really intelligent.
Yeah,
with this
because
stuff. They know how to use
You
this.
put down what you want to say, and then it crafts it in a way that
So
makes better sense.
I think it's going to level the playing field in the workforce. So what I do think it might happen is it might bring salaries down, possibly, which is a good thing for some people, bad thing, you know, for other people. But I think that's what might happen. It might level that out. But I don't see it taking jobs away. I had a doctor in here last week, and we were talking to him, and I asked him about it, like, you know, because one of the things I heard was it's not going to take the doctor skills away, but it's
Right.
going to be able to help them talk to people, you know, when they have to deliver bad news.
Sure.
Or something like
Yeah.
that. And this guy, I never heard this kid yell at all, but I knew, I saw his face. And he looked like he wanted to come over and strangle. He's a kid's like my nephew. And he wanted to strangle me. And afterwards, he was like, how can you say that? And I was like, hey, I'm just telling you what I heard. But, you know, because that's what they heard too, and it's not. But I think it's going to make everybody do their job a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right, so it's pretty
So far, it's
cool.
been a great tool.
Yeah, absolutely. So you graduate Hofstra,
Yep.
and then what do you get into?
So I worked in marketing. I got my internship through Hofstra University,
Okay.
and I ended up staying there for 10 years.
So you went right across the street from Hofstra.
I
right?
went right across the street from Hofstra, took the same commute
That's
from
awesome.
Massapequa to
Literally.
yeah, it's crazy, but it worked out. I loved what I did. I loved the people that I work with. I met my husband at my first job.
So what did you do?
So I worked in marketing. I did email marketing. I ended up being the senior manager of email marketing. So if
Okay.
you've ever gotten an email with a promo code, it was probably sent. And
By one of your
yes,
team?
it was sent by me and my team at that time, or someone from our team.
How was the breakdown? What did that look like? What was your team look like? How many people worked under you, worked with you?
So I had just one person under me, and I had someone above me as well. And it was just a coordination of. I got to basically help with the advertisement, the creative end of it, what we were promoting. We did a lot of A/B testing, and I take a lot of that marketing experience into real estate too,
Sure.
because real estate is sales. It's not exactly marketing, but you need to know marketing
marketing
to
in
do real estate. You just need to know how to advertise yourself, basically.
Did it actually teach you how to I'm sure it did, know where the business is actually coming from?
So there was definitely an analytical team, and they would, help you understand where the people were coming from.
Yep.
But that was our focus, was just the
Just
people that
emails.
came through email. Yeah.
What was the open rate?
Oh gosh, at the time.
Do you remember that?
I don't know if I could disclose that information.
okay.
But yeah, I do remember the open rate
was it?
because I had to. That was part of my job, was figuring out what to do different in the subject lines to make the open rates better each time. And we did a lot of A/B testing. So that's where it got fun for me. It was the advertising background and that marketing background of saying, well, does this color pop better than this color? And if so, then the open rate
interesting.
or the click-through rate was better because of that reason.
So it's the same as direct mail in some way.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I dabbled in direct mail too when I was at that company. I helped with a couple of direct mail pieces because it all went hand in hand. But I know, we would do like these A/B tests of, subject lines and putting $29.99 versus $30, and $29.99 would win every single time just because
$29.99.
it psychologically sounded better. So bringing it back to real estate, I like to use that example of my past, because when we put out a list price, I say the same thing. You could list your house for $649,999, or you could list it for $650,000, and you'll probably get a little better traction on the $649,999.
So what did you think about that there was a whole phase when I was in sales where it would be 624, 821 or something like that.
Those
Remember
crazy
that?
numbers. Yeah.
You believe in that or
think,
no?
That's not my jam. I don't like that, but it
Some people
stands
work for
out. It certainly stands out. And then I learned
the eights.
the eights.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like a cultural thing,
Yeah,
because
with
it
the
meant
Asian,
like
yeah,
lucky
numbers.
Yeah, lucky numbers. So now when I see it, I kind of smirk, because now I understand the rationale behind
Sure.
it. But at first, I remember, as a baby agent, not knowing, I'm like,
A
what
baby
is
agent.
it? What does this mean? Why are they putting random numbers at the end? But it does. It helps stick out.
Yep.
And when you're in a list of everybody else's 649, 649, 649, and now you're 648, 8888, that makes a difference.
True. Yeah.
So
And then you had 88888, at 888,000. It was ridiculous.
and yeah.
Pretty cool though.
Yeah, no, that's what I love, the psychology around it. That's what I love about marketing, is just figuring out what clicks with people.
I like the whole color coordinating and all
Yeah,
that.
we would test that, what the background color of this was pink and the background color of that was lavender, and did one resonate better than the other? Sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it does.
But it does.
It makes a difference.
It
Yeah.
does. Yeah, it's really interesting, like the whole dime and the whole thing with the dime and then the dollar bills, and you ever see that kind of like direct mail where they would send money in there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
For
That's
people to
or a
open.
penny.
Or a penny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it went to dimes. I got one where I got $1 once.
Really?
Yeah, where they were putting out dollars. I was like, how much did this actually cost? Because these are companies that are sending out 500,000-600,000 pieces.
Right. So in itself, just the dollar is the
It
value.
cost you $600,000 right there, right?
Actually, at one of the Keller Williams at family reunion a couple of years ago, one of the booths
The $2
gave out a
bills?
$2 bill. I still
He
have
still
it.
does it. He still does it. And I
thought
collect
that
$2
was
bills.
so creative.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Well, I have 2 children, so if I give them one,
You gotta get.
I got it. Now I need $4.
Just keep going back.
So,
Yeah, you keep going
so
back.
I ended up coming out with $2 bills.
right.
But that
They
really
still
stuck
do it.
with me. So yeah, those out of the box ideas are the ones that people remember.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So you do it 10 years.
So yeah, so I'm there for 10 years, love the company, but I decide that when I find out I'm pregnant with my second child, that it was great for when it lasted, but the 9 to 5 grind wasn't going to work for me anymore once I introduced a second child to our family. So I remember that New Year's Eve, I sat with my husband. We had a baby at the time too already, and I said, you know what? I think I need to do something different. So that was my New Year's resolution. I had always dabbled with the idea of doing real estate. So I think it was that night I signed up for a Groupon. Remember Groupon?
Of course.
And I paid for a package to learn real estate and go to real estate school. And by the time I was 6 months pregnant, I had my real estate license.
Oh, wow.
So I did it.
So you did it online?
I actually went in person.
Oh, you did go in person.
I took some time off, and I grinded every day. I went into Manhattan, and I went to the New York Real Estate Institute.
Okay.
And I took 2 to 3 classes a day, and it was like my 9 to 5 job. I would get there super early in the morning. I would do as many courses as I needed.
For 2 weeks.
For
and then-
2 weeks straight, I really went at it. And then I got all my courses in. I took my tests and passed.
That's funny.
And I got my license. So by the time
What year did you get your license?
I got my license in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm doing this 10 years now. So just as long as my previous career.
That's amazing.
I know. I can't believe it.
How
But
quick it goes
as old as my daughter is, the year of her birth is
So what was it-
my anniversary.
What made you really believe in real estate, though? Like, what was it
I was
to
always
take that chance?
I was always a very driven person.
Why not mortgage? Why not,
I think because
Insurance.
I did always have a creative side. I loved interior decorating. At one point, I was even thinking of going into FIT so I could go into the fashion industry or interior design or something like that. So I always had that in the back of my head.
Okay.
But yeah, mortgages would have been like too much numbers and calculations. Homes seemed more fun, just getting
Bigger ticket
to.
item, yeah.
Yeah, and I think everyone's interested in real estate to a degree. So I wanted to be a part of something that like everyone could easily talk about and eventually would need. So that's why I decided to do real estate.
Okay.
But I got my license. I decided to leave my corporate job after my maternity leave, and I got a part-time consulting gig in between that first year because, the first year of real
Yeah,
estate, you
tough.
have to build up the pipeline, and you're not getting paid necessarily for the first 3 to 6 months, depending on how successful you are. But I was always very driven, so I knew that if I was going to do this, I was going to do it well. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it all. I couldn't fail. I couldn't, leave the salary that I was making and not do something just as well.
Okay.
So I'm proud that,
Pretty cool accomplishment.
I would say, the first year is always like, that the year
It's a
that
tough one,
you're
yeah.
building up. But by like year 2, 3, I was making just as much as I was in my corporate salary job and then better. So, it's been great, and it's been great for my work-life balance. It's exactly what I wanted to accomplish, which was having the flexibility to be there for my family and yet still continuing to support my clients.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So take me through that. So you get in 2015, you get your license,
Yep.
and you decide, okay, I'm going to go close to home, and I'm going to go work for ABC Realty.
Yes. So I figured if I'm coming into this as a novice, like at least I know I grew up on Long Island. I lived in Massapequa my whole life. So if I'm going to start somewhere, let it be my expertise area, which is where I grew up and where I live and where I could recommend a nail salon, a pizzeria, whatever. So I decided to work for the mom and pop shop that was down the block from where I lived. Also, the shop that I bought my first home from,
When did you buy your first home? If you don't mind me asking.
2011.
Okay.
2011.
So you actually got in good time.
I did. I
You
did.
got in when they actually dropped. Not too often does the real estate market go the other way.
Exactly. Which is why I was able to kind of, within 7 years of that first purchase, make a nice amount to use as a down payment for another home.
Yeah, you got lucky.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the year I got married, and so a lot of my friends were getting married around that time and buying their first homes, and a lot of us ended up doing that. And I think that's actually a statistic that, our age bracket, our first homes, some people think it's going to be their forever homes.
No,
You usually are buying a second home within 5 to 7 years.
Right.
So you might think, and honestly, I loved my first home. I was totally complacent and more than complacent. I loved it. It was what I wanted. It was in the neighborhood I wanted, in the school district. It was the style of home that I liked. But then opportunity knocked, and we went for it. And now I love my new home better.
Bless, yeah.
But, it just worked out in that way. And a lot of my friends are on to their second homes by now, too.
That's awesome.
So I feel like for those new homeowner, the first-time buyers, the ones that are just getting married, and they're so nervous, like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is my forever home. It's not necessarily going to be your forever home.
Probably not.
And I think if you keep an open mind about it, it's less stressful making that first purchase.
It's interesting. Diana and I, we bought our first home in '97. And we bought a townhouse, a condo townhouse. And back then, I think we paid $150.
Wow.
Maybe a little less, right around that area. It was 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, beautiful home. For us, it was great. We didn't have any kids at the time.
Sure.
Still traveling. I was still a police officer. Literally 2 years later, because we got into that market where it was every 2 years we sold, we decided we're never going to fall in love with a house. It's just going to be somewhere to live, and then possibly sell it, like you were saying, just not get attached, because we'll get our forever home when we have our children. Bought our second home literally 2.5 years after the first purchase. We doubled our money from the first one, so we sold it for like $3 and change. Ended up buying a 3,000, 4,000 square foot Center Hall Colonial with a guest house.
Nice.
And we paid like $3 and change for the house back in the day, with an acre of land. It was amazing. Like views that you could knock yourself out with just by having your coffee on your deck if you chose to do it.
Right.
Because we were in, so we had a whole view of Dutchess County. We were in like the Katona Mayapack area.
Okay.
So 2 years to the day on that one, sold it.
Yeah.
Went to Whitestone. We bought in Whitestone. Guess what happened 2 years later? We ended up buying a forever home. But it was interesting. Every house that we bought, we doubled within 2 years, 2.5 years, and we
That's
sold.
amazing.
And back then, the whole tax thing was as long as you stayed there for 2 years, it was all tax-free.
There's no better
Yeah,
investment.
there's no better investment. So we were literally able to pretty much own a house outright when we ended up buying
That's great.
our last home. And the minute I bought it, if I would have waited 2 weeks, the market dropped 20%, literally 2 weeks after we purchased. So it went, let's just say $1 million.
Wow.
The house is worth, right? So we paid $1 million. Literally, let's say we paid $1 million. We didn't, but let's say we did.
Okay.
It dropped to $800,000 overnight. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, you lost 200." I was like, "We didn't lose shit. We didn't sell anything."
Right.
Now today, it's obviously well over that price that we paid, and it's just we still mess around. We're there 20 years. We had our kids there.
Oh, so this was your
this was our
forever home until maybe you retire one day, and then you're going to get another house.
Well, what we were talking about is how do we do it where, because the kids today, it's hard for them. So, do we buy another house in the area so they can just split it when
Sure.
when we move on or whatever? So they each get a house or whatever. That's how I look at life, is trying to help out the kids as much. I'm sure you do the same for your
Sure.
kids.
Yeah.
As long as we can. But it's interesting the way, like I said, the opportunities that we had compared to the kids today. It's a lot different throughout everything. So you buy your first home.
Yep.
You fall in love with it. You fall in love with the real estate game, and
Yep.
you know, were you one of those people that like looks through the internet constantly for the right before you got licensed?
Honestly, I wasn't.
No,
I
okay.
really wasn't. Probably more my husband.
Really?
He always looked, and he continues to look. Now we look at like investment properties, like what could we purchase, out of state.
Okay.
So that's the next game plan, because really, as I've learned, real estate is the best investment. You don't grow your money more than you do with just purchasing property, and even if you do nothing to it,
Making money.
you're making money. So it's just been great.
That's why when you purchased, it was really.
It was an opportune time.
Yeah, it really
Totally.
was. It was
Yes.
a great time to buy.
But even 7 years ago, I feel like what I purchased my home for,
Still, at that time, you thought it was a lot of money.
at the time, it felt top of the market, and
Yep.
it was. But now that we're in that home, 6 or 7 years, it's not. Now it looks like it was a fabulous deal. So if you look at it in that way,
That's so
it's only
crazy.
going to improve. So
See the same thing happening in this market.
yeah.
It's just going to constantly cycle
And that's why
itself.
when I work with clients, I try and give them my real life experience, because I think it's more relatable. I was in your shoes. I was also a first time buyer and nervous and doing this. And then within 5 years, we already started thinking about moving on to a different house, even though I thought that was going to be my forever home.
Right.
So you have to really keep an open mind.
That's why I tell anybody that's in the business, you should own a home. If you're in the real estate business,
Yeah,
I really do believe
it
that.
gives you like real
ability
life experience.
Right.
You've now gone through the transaction, right? But you are experiencing the emotion,
That's right.
and that's what I think sets me apart, is that I'm super compassionate because I understand how
on to it.
emotional the whole process is. So I want to be that like trustworthy resource. I want to be the person that you can call late night when you have questions or you're just feeling anxious about it.
So let's get into that.
Yeah.
So you get your license,
Yeah.
and you're actually selling. When did you join Keller?
In 2019, so that was within 4 years of me
years.
getting my license. And I always knew that I would start smaller and then get to be in a bigger company that had more like national presence, more technology, because I came from that world, in my former career. So I knew that, technology was where it's
Very
at.
important,
Like you have to embrace that. Not to say that they're not doing that, but I just liked what Keller Williams had to offer
Sure.
with that respect. And I genuinely love learning. So Keller Williams always has opportunities to learn and go to continuing education or just meet with vendors. And I go to as many as I possibly can. I teach some of them myself now, because I think just knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better.
So true.
So it just gave me
Can't
an
hurt you.
opportunity. Like if I want to take a class every single day of the week, I can go to my office. I could go to one of the affiliated offices. I could go into the Manhattan and do a course. So I just like that opportunity.
You've been part of the Masterminds a ton with us.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm actually doing one on Friday. Where
Okay.
I'm sitting on the panel. So
That's pretty cool.
look at that. So
Circle. Look at that.
yeah, full
So-
circle.
So you end up coming to Keller.
Come to
And
Keller.
then what's your goal like when you come over? Like I know you get into the whole technology. What are you looking to bring to your clients, like from day one to now at Keller? Like what was the difference, or there was no change whatsoever? It was just bringing over.
Again, like the national presence, it wasn't as well known, I feel, in my
agree.
area.
Yep.
But then once I knew this big new shiny building was being built and it was going to have this beautiful signage on it, people were going to notice, because it's smack dab in the middle of the community that I live in. So I knew I wanted to be a part of that,
That world.
that beginning. So I was literally day one in the new building.
Nice.
We were in that temporary building for a minute, but I've been there ever since that new building was open, the Keller Williams of Massapequa.
Wow.
And I think it's professional when you bring clients in, that they see a beautiful building and they feel like the whole experience is professional. When I meet with new buyers, I never am meeting them just at the house. I insist that we do a buyer consultation because I want them to know from the beginning to the end what to expect. You know, when you lay out what to expect, then when I'm, hurrying you up to get a home inspection done in the first 24 to 48 hours, you're not going to feel all crazed about it. You're going to know that was what Marianna said once she got me the accepted offer. That would be the next step. So we kind of go through the whole process, and then step by step, I remind them of like the next one or two to come. So
Interesting.
that they're fully involved and aware.
So
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, and then, so you're bringing them into the office day one.
Yep.
And now take me through that process afterwards. Like, what does it look like? Day one, are you showing houses or you're not showing
So
houses?
day
Like,
one, we're doing that buyer
I'm buying a house
consultation.
from you right now.
Yep.
Me and you were going out to look at 2 or 3 homes.
We sit together at the conference room in the Massapequa office or wherever is convenient, coffee shop, diner, whatever. And we go through the steps. We sign the disclosures, the whole thing. And then in that meeting, I'm setting up a curated search for you. So now we're getting to do the fun part, right? It's the wish list. Tell me what you want in your new home. That's the fun part. And we definitely get to do that. And we usually do that first after we go through the, the step-by-step process. And so then from the moment they're leaving, I've sent a first email out with homes that should fit their criteria, and that's their homework that evening, is go through the list and let me know what you like and what you'd like to see in person. I always say, like, I'm your Netflix, so the more feedback you give me and the more homes you say, oh, I like this for that reason and I like this one for that reason, then I'll be able to give you more intelligent recommendations going forward. But I have to get to know what you're liking. So that initial meeting is go through the list, send me a few that you like. We go out and see those. I listen to the conversations. I'm hearing, a wife and a husband talk and say, oh, yeah, I like this room, but I really want a finished basement so that we could put, all the toys and so now I know if you show me a house that doesn't have a basement, I'm going to point that out to you because I heard you mention it when we were at the other house. So are you sure you want to go visit a property that maybe doesn't have a basement? Is it really going to fit your needs? Or are we going to go there and you're going to love it and then you're going to realize you're disappointed because it doesn't have the basement? Sure. So I'll save you some time. But then I'll be able to recommend something else that has it all. Maybe you weren't considering. So
Wow. And then
that's how I like to run it.
It's pretty cool. So are you also bringing like your mortgage people into it? Are you bringing
Yes.
in your title people or whatever it
I
is? Are
feel
you trying
like
these?
when I talk about my team, it's not just, buyer agents that work with me. It's everybody. It's the attorneys, it's the mortgage brokers, it's the home inspectors, the insurance agents. I've been doing this for 10 years now that I've really built up such a great, group of people that I've worked with and I can actually vouch for. So it's more than just people that I've got to meet through office meetings or events, which is important because that's where you first get to know people. But then you give them a shot, and if you like how they work, then now you're in my Rolodex, right? And now I'm giving out your information to my clients because I know and trust that you'll do a good job. So when I put offers in, I always have my mortgage broker also make a phone call to the listing agent. It's an email, it's a text from me, it's a phone call from me until you answer your phone so I can have a personal conversation because I'm very much a talking type of person. I hate just doing text, although some people prefer it, so I will work that way if that's your communication, that's your preferred communication. But I like to have a conversation with people and be relatable and understand. And
What do you find your clients like to do more? Text or?
I think my clients definitely prefer text. I mean, we all kind of prefer text for certain things because it's quick. I sent it to you, but I think they all know that if you really need to reach me and it's something urgent, you must call me. Because if you call and I see you ringing, I will pick it up unless I absolutely can. But a text message could be,
Anything.
a note, and it doesn't get looked at for hours. So that's why if it's something important, I always believe you got to get on the phone and make a phone
Well,
call.
the problem is with text, you can read it, you miss a period, you do something. It
And
changes
it could
the
be
whole
totally misconstrued.
That's right.
Crafting a text message for me, I mean, that's a great part of Chat
That's what
GPT,
we're
right?
talking about,
Because you could write a message, and if it's read in the wrong tone, it could be totally, misconstrued.
My
So,
text is just the ongoing sentence. It's just there's no
well,
point.
I'm often like a talk to texter because I'm usually in my car voice chatting a text message back. But yeah, I always prefer a phone call. If someone texts me and I'm driving, I'd rather just call and have a conversation.
Yeah,
That's
so,
always my preferred method. And then email, I love email, right? Back to my former career, it's what I did.
That's what you did, yeah.
But email is important, and I think that's a professionalism. It keeps, a record. It's record keeping. So I love email too. But yeah, on a daily, text and phone calls. But a lot of text messages with the younger generation.
So we were talking earlier a little bit, and where do you see the future of real estate going,
The future of real estate.
in your opinion? Like, what do you...
I mean, I think,
If you had a crystal ball today,
gosh.
what would it say to you? What do you think it would say?
I think things are only ever improving. I think things just will also get more and more expensive. I do hear a lot of people that I work with kind of telling me, it's just getting so expensive on Long Island. I might have to move south, but even south is now expensive. So I don't know. Do I see a mass exodus? Not really. I think if you love Long Island and everything it has to offer, you're going to stick around. But maybe there'll be different options. Maybe it's not always buying, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath colonial. There'll be condos or, beach bungalows. I think things will continue to be built and rebuilt. Long Island kind of doesn't have so much vast land like what you could find other
Anywhere else?
places in the country.
Indiana or something like that.
Right. So we don't have that much opportunity, but so many of the houses in our neighborhoods are just being knocked down and rebuilt. So that will be nice to see,
Yep.
I think, because many of the homes, particularly in my neighborhood, were built in the 1950s. So I think people are looking for newness, and with new homes and will come new businesses and new storefronts, and I think we'll see.
The other amazing thing I found
Rebuilding.
it's interesting to me is because I'm the opposite with you, and I didn't want to work where I lived.
Okay.
So in Westchester, where I live, that's why I chose Westchester. I never wanted to work in the same area for
Really?
some reason. Yeah, I find that amazing. Most agents
I
do
love
it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I just
I
didn't
live
want to be
and work
bothered.
in the same community that, I'm buying and helping people buy and sell homes. And I love it. I'll go to a barbecue and there'll easily be 3 to 5 clients at that barbecue of mine
It's
in
amazing.
the last
yeah.
10 years.
And you're constantly talking about real estate. How do you now focus on something else? Because you're known as the real estate lady, right? It's
Real estate can
the real
totally
estate mom
be
or whatever.
24/7.
That's right.
And, I wouldn't have come into this business if I didn't
care about it. Yeah, you
care
enjoy
about it
yeah.
the way I enjoy it. So, it's not just sitting behind a desk and working because I have to. I work because I actually enjoy it and I love to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So when I get up in the morning, I'm constantly on my computer looking up homes, setting up appointments. I do it every day.
You see the kids
I
doing
probably work more now than I ever did in the corporate life, but
Did-
it's in a different way. It's more flexible.
You see your children getting into it, or husband making a family? Yeah.
It's funny because my son will always point out nice homes that he sees. He's like, you know what? That's a really nice colonial.
That's awesome.
And sometimes again
How
because
old are the children?
So my daughter's 9, almost 10, and my son is 11, almost 12.
That's awesome.
my
this
son
age.
and I have actually gotten on our bikes, and I said, let's go check out a couple open houses, because anytime there's an open house in my neighborhood, whether I have a client for it or not, and I typically do, I just like to go see what's up in my neighborhood.
Sure.
And so we've gotten on our bikes, and we've gone and stopped at one, and biked around and went to see others, and he enjoys coming with me. So maybe one day he'll do it.
That's awesome.
They definitely see mommy on the phone a lot, and they know that I'm working towards something. But it's for them. It always goes back to being there for them.
That's awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It offers flexibility. It offers the opportunity to ramp up, ramp down if you need to ever in your life. But like I rarely miss a soccer game or an opportunity to go volunteer at the school, because I can also help set my own hours.
That's right.
I might be working on a Saturday afternoon at an open house, but I'll try and work it around the family schedule.
And you're close to home anyway.
And I'm close to home
It's not
anyway,
like I
so
said with me.
it's great. It often works. And honestly, where we are, I feel like we're so centrally located. Typically, no matter where the appointment is, I'm always within a half-hour range of it
Sure. That's
at
awesome.
the most.
So this went by really quick. This is really good. I learned a lot today. This is
You
awesome.
learned a lot
I
about me.
really did. This is awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. But what advice would you give to a new you coming into the business?
My best advice would be to go and meet as many people as you can, both professionally and personally. I think if you're going to be working in your community, then you have to be at the events. You have to be volunteering. You should be on the PTA. But then professionally, if there's a networking event, a happy hour, a class, you should go to it. People should know your face. They should know your name. And it's a little nerve-wracking when you're entering a room and you don't know anybody, but I promise if you keep going, you'll notice that the same people like to attend these kind of things, and you will get to know them, and they will get to know you. And when you do that, that will help you in your business too, because now if, so-and-so from class the other day has a listing that you now know about, and you'll be first one at their open house, they might be more inclined to working with you in the future. So I think, all the relationship building, personally and professionally, makes such a big difference that you have to put yourself out there and be a little uncomfortable at first until you make it.
One more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see the business going for you, 25 and 26?
So professionally, I would like to continue working on like referral-based connections, because most of my business is referral-based. So doing more community outreach, events, things like that. I'd like to elevate my digital presence, particularly on like Instagram, gain more followers, just showing them holistically how I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a realtor, and I could fit it all in. And then personally, always just keeping that work-life balance where I continue to show up for my clients, but I'm also there for the important moments, because ultimately that's why I got into this business in the first place.
You said something pretty cool in the beginning. You were a mom first, the wife second, and then the realtor third, basically, right?
And I think people
got
can
it.
appreciate that.
That's awesome. I think
I mean,
that's the best.
you shouldn't
That's
work
right.
to live, right? Or
love
live
it.
to work. You should work to live.
But this is one of the only businesses that you could really truly
I know.
truly do it. And
I'm fortunate that it's worked out. I'm happy that I even that initial transition from like a corporate salary job to
that must have been so hard.
that was very nerve-wracking. It took me a lot of time to really come to terms. I remember calculating like, how many houses do I need to sell at approximately $500,000 so that I could recoup my salary. And, I was always very goal-driven. So if I had those numbers up front and I knew what I had to do, if I could just sell one house a month, maybe in the beginning that's hard to do, but that's kind of where I always use that.
Sounds like I'm talking to myself back in the past. That's what I used to do. I used to come home every day and be like, okay, bam, 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 bam.
How many houses do I need to sell in a month? But it's that's just, you know, to make the numbers work. But more so, I like to help people. And I like to be, you know, instead of being at a desk in front of a computer, I actually enjoy interacting with people. And if I can help you find the home that you love being on, and you've now invited me to your block party, like that is the ultimate. That's the win. So, and that happens time and time again. So I love that.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to watching you in the future grow. I can't wait to see what you
Thank you.
do for everything. And thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks so much.